I hope you are not going to be disappointed. बहुत ज़्यादा तारीफ़ें कर ली हैं. I am not basically a public speaker, but in the last 2 years I have been made to speak so much कि थोड़ा सा तो अब मुझे हल्की सी confidence तो आ ही गई है. अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह. Anyway, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I thank the chairperson and the entire faculty members of the political science department and the dear students. It's a pleasure and honor to be here, and I have been asked to speak a little about women empowerment, so I'll make an effort. You must have heard Ghazala also, and she is doing a lot of good work regarding her NGO that is Deep, and my long association with Professor Aligarh, she just told you, I used to see her children, and now that she's been gifted with a grandchild, Rayyan. My grandson's name is also Rayyan, incidentally. So, you know, we have a very close association with each other.
Thank you.
Frankly, I like to be here with the little young boys and girls because it definitely makes me also feel very young. So it's always a pleasure to be with young people. And I was reading an article in the newspaper that the grandparents particularly should spend a lot of time with their grandchildren. You know, because happiness and a positive attitude that the children have, they are full of laughter, they are full of enthusiasm, that can affect the older also, and it can have a very good impact on their mental as well as physical well-being, especially in Alzheimer's. So I'm here with all of you today. Now, just a few days back, we celebrated the International Women's Day, which falls on the 8th of March every year. As you all know, the theme for this year was Balance for Better, Think Equal, Build Smart, and Innovate for Change. This actually means better the balance in terms of gender equality and socio-economic balance, better will be our world. United Nations General Secretary Antonia, he recently remarked that gender equality is all about a question of power, and that a male-dominated world has ignored, silenced, and oppressed women for centuries. Despite various achievements and successes, female voices are routinely overlooked and their opinions have been ignored. Even today, every woman and girl knows that her lived reality is very different from that of her brother, from that of her father, and later on from that of her husband. Now, the Desi Me Too movement, the Me Too movement that was started in India, it was much later than what started in the West. This is a glaring example of how to get our voices heard, our opinions noticed, our feelings valued, and our bullies shamed. As a Muslim woman, I really feel terribly disappointed that the rights that we got from our Creator more than 1400 years ago, and the rights that the Western woman got just about 150 years back, these rights, that is the right to education, the right to vote, the right to property, and the right to be loved and respected, they have been trampled upon. And instead of being the torchbearers and showing other women the way, we ourselves have got lost and we have been victimized. So what we need to do is to seriously introspect and work together to find solutions for our problems, and we must restore our lost glory. I want to share 3 gems of sentences by Jawaharlal Nehru, who was our former Prime Minister. I'm sure one sentence that you all must be very familiar with. He said, if you educate a man, you educate an individual, but if you educate a woman, you educate an entire family, a community, and even a nation. The second sentence that I really like is, he said, India has a feminine soul. This sentence is certainly a very big attribute, a big statement on Indian woman's power, of her courage, of her wisdom, of her endurance, resilience, integrity, and sensitivity to the needs of others. Every woman's problem anywhere in the world, especially in our country, should concern all of us, both men and women alike. The third sentence that he said was, you can tell the condition of a nation by looking at the status of its women. Okay, it means that the status of her education, of a woman's health, of her happiness index reflects on the nation's character. I must share some of the shocking data of women all over the world and also in India. We have 25 million girls who are aborted every year in India. These are the missing girls. Women constitute 75 to 80% of the world's refugees and nearly 70% of the world's poor. Of all the poor in the world, 70% are women. 2/3 of the world illiterate women or illiterate people are women, and 70% of our Indian women and children are anemic and malnourished. World Health Organization recognizes violence against women as a major health problem in India and in the world. Andre Lorde's powerful words haunt me. She says, "I'm not free while any other woman is unfree, even when her shackles are different from mine." So what I want to tell you and emphasize is that the only way forward is through education, and an educated woman can really change the destiny of a family as well as her nation. We women are fully equipped to address and solve our problems, and I believe that if our women realize their true worth and occupy places in institutions of policy making, governance, judiciary, services like the IAS and the IPS, entrepreneurship, I'm sure the world will be a better place. There will certainly be less corruption, there will be more peace, and our world will be more organized. Now, the fact that we have taken up this topic about women empowerment, it shows that women are not empowered. That's why we are, engaging ourselves in this talk. And the upper hand men enjoy in our social structure is for everyone to see. This is known as patriarchy. Now, right from the time of ancient India, when in the early 1930s, when women were considered to be just there to serve the men as well as their husbands and their family, we have certainly come a long way. We have gone through the trauma of sati. Then sati was abolished, but yet the woman was confined to the 4 corners of her home. She was not allowed out till death would take her. Then we came up to that standard where women were allowed to get educated. Then in 1960, we passed the Dowry Prohibition Act. Then we had 2001, we had the Women's Empowerment Year, and there was a lot of effort to empower women. Then in 2010, a call was made for the reservation to have women have their seats reserved in Parliament, and there was everybody wanted that at least 33% of the Parliament should be represented by women. And now, in the recent election, everybody must be knowing that Mamata Banerjee has given at least 41% of seats to the women, and even Naveen Patnaik has said 33% of the seat for the contestants will be women. So we desperately need to close the gender education gap, take our fight into our communities and the corridors of power. We have to shout and demand our rights. Nahi to we are not going to get our rights. The strongest predictor of high rate of male violence is gender inequality, whether in education as well as in our earning ability. Now, empowerment may mean, I don't know, it means different for different people, but I feel empowerment means creating an environment where women can take independent decisions, not only for their personal lives, who to marry, whether to get educated, what to wear, and whether to work or not, and other choices, what to eat, so that this is actually women empowerment, and you should be able to make a decision not only in your homes but also in society, in your workplace. Your voice should be heard. So in spheres, whether it is political, economical, social, cultural, and civil society, we need to make our voices heard. Empowerment also means to feel safe, to feel loved, to feel equal, respected, and to feel spiritually strong and physically healthy. Now, the society of my childhood, nearly 50 years ago, was so much happier, and it was kinder to the women, to the old, and to the children. But in the last few decades, we have seen the women, and especially the girl child, has had to bear the brunt of a lot of physical violence. Why is this so? We must put our heads together. What has gone wrong with the men of our community? Why is this happening? What I believe is that centuries of social conditioning, where daughters are treated differently than boys at home, where there is definitely a preferential treatment, whether in terms of food, in terms of dress, in terms of education, and rules, they are separate for boys and girls. This has led to a situation where the male believes that he is superior, he has the right to dominate, he can be abusive, and he can get away with anything. The girls, sadly, are treated as lesser humans and are conditioned to feel inferior, and they eventually reconcile to the fact that it is okay to be treated shabbily, first at home by her family, and later on in her husband's family and by her family. So this conditioning we should stop. We women are also to share the blame for this attitude and conditioning. As a pediatrician, I see this sex preference and these shockers everywhere. Every time when I enter a chamber, when a girl child is born, I can know that today a girl child is born. Why? Because there is an atmosphere of depression, of sadness, and sadly by the women members of the family, whether it is the grandmother, whether it is the paternal or the maternal grandmother. The moment I enter the room, I know it's a girl who was born. There are no celebrations, there's no laughter. And the moment I enter a room where a boy is born, there is laughter, and there are laddus served, and there is a lot of mithai. So before they tell me the sex of the child, I know it's a boy. And then day to day in my clinic also, when I see a sister and a brother come into the clinic, the sister is ill-fed, she is malnourished, she is not well clothed. I'm not talking about the majority, but I'm talking quite a few. It is still prevalent. And on the other hand, the boy is much better clothed, he is robust, he is healthier. So this conditioning is because of, I think, the grandmothers, the mothers. We have to take it upon ourselves to make both the sister and the brother feel equally loved. And right from the home, this should be ingrained in them that the sister is no different from him, and she should be loved, she should be respected. And I think we need to change our even in colleges, our curriculum also should include topics like gender bias, gender equality, tolerance, and domestic violence. I think even in school they should this topic of gender, so that the young boys, they know that women throughout the world and even in our country are treated so shabbily. Nurturing good values and ideals in children is the responsibility of every parent and of every teacher. And we must make our daughters feel loved and cared for. Unless this conditioning starts from childhood, we can't expect change in the attitude of our men. Finally, a special message to the girls. I'm sorry I don't have much messages to the boys, but lots of messages to the girls. Girls, please have the passion and courage to push boundaries and break the glass ceiling. Balance your career and personal lives. Fretting too much over career goals can disrupt your family life, and worrying too much over family can make you lose out on opportunities at work. I quote Indira Nooyi, who is the CEO of PepsiCo. She said, "We women can't have it all." I think there's a lot of honesty in that statement, and I agree with her to some extent. Because I'll tell you a small incident in her life. When she became the president of the PepsiCo, there was a lot of celebration in her workplace, in her office, and people really celebrated in a big way. They congratulated her. So she, after the celebrations finished, she expected the same celebration at home. But when she comes home, tired, her mother opens the door and said, "Indira, there is no milk in the fridge. Your children they want milk. Just run up and get 2 packets of milk." So she says, there I was expecting, to be treated. But, so this is very important for a woman to know, that once she is within the walls of her home, she's the most important member of the home. First, she should know that. She should realize that the most important member in the family is, I feel, the mother. So she should be able to balance, and she should make adjustments and compromises. And this, she should not take it in a negative way. She should feel that the Creator, our God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has, endowed her with the ability to be able to change roles as well as to multitask. This is unique for a woman. Men can't do so much of multitasking as a woman can. Don't you all agree?
Yes.
She can do so many things at one time. There will be 4 burners on the, she'll be cooking dal, she'll be cooking, probably frying something, then she'll be attending to her baby's studies, then she'll be answering phones, she'll be probably putting laundry into the washing machine, and so many all at one time. She's endowed with this by her Creator. So surround yourself with brighter and better people to raise your standard. And always love what you do and be the best version of yourself. Be a student all your life. Every person who crosses your path has, or every experience that you have, whether it is a successful experience or it is a failure in life, it should teach you something. Cultivate a strong peer group that allows you to mentor and to be mentored. Because having a strong peer group certainly acts as a buffer to absorb your problems and helps you to tide over difficult situations. There's a very interesting study when they compared women who had breast cancer, those who had a strong support system in the form of friends and family, and those women who did not have. So the women who had a strong support system, especially friends, they did better. They could recover faster and completely than those. Because I think these, even your, how you feel about your illness matters. And if there are people who encourage you and who, give you positive vibes, so that is a very nice thing, and you can recover from illnesses. Please learn to be economically independent. This is extremely vital for your self-esteem and confidence. If I tell you, if Hazrat Khadija Raziyallahu Ta'ala anha could, be an entrepreneur at that time when she had no backing of, in those times, so many years back, if she could be such a successful businesswoman, so why can't you? You all have so much more support now. So this is basically about making the use of your time profitably and time management. So now it is not just Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao, but it is also Beti Kamao. Because we are nearly 50% of the workforce of our country, and we can make a significant difference to our families and nation's economy. We should not waste our time and we should not waste our potential. I'm sure you're going to like this. Please choose your husbands well. Don't be in a hurry to marry. Soch samajh kar karo. Choose somebody who's going to respect your career choices. You'll have to share these things with him before you get married. And who will be ready to meet you halfway, not only in the house and also outside the house. We are 50% of society and we raise the other 50%. So I tell you, you are not just equal to men, we are more than equal to men. So just believe in yourself, girls, and put your best foot forward. Believe in your strengths and know that you are second to none. Success is all just in the head. And in the end, I wish all of you, both the boys and the girls, a very good future. Thank you.